What do you do with chickens when they die? I'm going to show you what I do. Yeah, this morning when I came out to let the chickens out, I had a dead bird, and not exactly sure what happened, why it happened. It's kind of inexplicable. All the birds looked good yesterday. Yeah, I'm not so sure what happened to this bird, but with the way she's looking, looks like she's probably been dead for 6 to 8 hours with the rigor mortis that she's got. So, you know, there's a few things that I could do with her. I could go out and bury her and not really have any direct use for her. Obviously feed her to, you know, livestock, dogs, that sort of thing, if she's not too far gone, which this bird isn't. Yeah, I could compost her in a cold pile, but the risk in doing so is that more than likely she's going to remain anaerobic through that decomposition process, and harmful bacteria will develop as a result, and then that will be transferred, you know, directly into your pile, which is obviously not what you want. So I'm going to ensure that this bird goes into a hot pile, one that's 130 to 160 degrees. She's going to rapidly decompose in that environment. What I've done is I've temped this pile, stuck a thermometer in this pile, and it's down around 120 degrees Fahrenheit. So what that tells me is that it's running out of fuel. This was a hot compost 2 days ago, and now when I opened it up or temped it this morning, it was 120. So I'm going to need to go ahead and rebuild this pile when I put that bird in here. So I'm going to need to add some additional nitrogen. I brought in some lawn clippings, I brought in some comfrey, brought in some coffee grounds, as well as some artichoke leaves. So I'm going to add an additional bit of nitrogen to kind of jumpstart this pile, get that bird hot again. Now, since they have access to this pile every day, I'm going to ensure that this bird is deep within this pile. They won't be able to break this down all the way, so it will remain hot at the core of this, but they'll be able to work around the edges until that bird gets good and decomposed. As I said before, the pile just next to me right here I wound up putting 2 birds in that pile. Wait a minute, I got chickens getting out. Hold on a second. This pile that's behind me, just 2 months ago, I wound up putting 2 birds that died because it was so hot. We had a 3-week period where it was over 110 degrees here, and I think they died the weekend that it was like 115. So I put 2 buff Orpingtons in this pile behind me, and I've been all the way to the bottom of that pile recently, and there's not a beak nor a foot in there. I mean, that's some beautiful compost. It's nearly ready to go out and be spread out anywhere I want to spread it. But that's 2 months old. That was hot composted, and the birds have been working it over every day, trying to keep it like loose, tilthy, busted open, and they're picking all the remaining seeds and any of the biota that's within that pile. That's where they derive a lot of their protein. They get it from the worms and pill bugs and any other thing that's within that, and then they're going to go ahead and clean out all of the grain from their daily ration that I give them. So I'm going to go ahead and bust this pile open, and I'm going to get this bird prepped to go inside, and then hopefully jump start this pile so it can start to break this bird down. I'm going to go ahead and hit it with some coffee grounds, which is a great source of nitrogen. There's plenty of carbon in this. I'm not worried about that. I'll go ahead and incorporate this in somewhat with the carbon so that it's not completely all nitrogen in one spot. Go ahead and put that bird in there now. Now I've got some, right here is some vines from watermelon that I took out and harvested. And this stuff's very, very hard to get through. So I'll put that over the top of this bird, and then they won't be able to access that bird because they probably won't go down into this pile anyhow too far because it'll be hot by tomorrow. So You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to completely wrap that bird up in a little bit of this comfrey. More of this over the top. Like I say, they don't get through this very well. It's kind of, it tangles them up. So if you don't want them getting into the center of your pile, that's one way you can discourage it. So that bird will be fairly well protected in there, all wrapped up in that stuff. Like tanglefoot. So the piles that I want to remain hot, I need to stack them up at night so that they have the hours in the evening to be able to build that heat. So before, or when I put the birds up for bed this evening, I'll come out, I'll stack this pile up, and it'll have a good chance to re-energize itself. Man, I tell you what, these little birds right here, we hatched, but they are some of the best composting birds in this flock. They are just aggressive, active, working all day long. Not even sure what breed they are, but man, they are wish I had 20 more like them. Yeah, this is that pile right here where those other birds were at. And yeah, it's in good shape. They break it down every day and then I pile it back up. But like I say, I've been all the way to the center of this thing and those birds are gone. Yeah, this is exactly the range that you want your pile in. Not hotter than 160, but it needs to be in that thermophilic range, which is 130 to 160, where you're going to kill all of the bad pathogens and kill all of the weed seeds, but you're not going to kill the beneficial bacteria. So I've temped this in a few different spots and it's doing exactly what I want it to do. Over the course of the next day or so, that bird is going to continue to heat up. It's going to rapidly decompose. And given the fact that I've basically kind of encompassed it in those vines, these hens won't be able to get down there and open it up. So that will remain a capsule of heat down there. And yeah, I suspect that bird will be pretty well gone after about a month. What do you do with your chickens when they die? Do you compost them? I'd be interested to know. Leave me a comment and we'll talk about it. Please subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell notification. Thanks for being here.